Robin Moore.
Thank you. And just to confirm, the maximum occupancy at Crowborough is 540?
That's correct.
That's correct. And what's the occupancy rate at the moment?
It is 500 there and thereabouts at the moment. If you just give me a moment, I'll give you the exact figures.
And just while you're pulling up that, maybe you could just explain, have you experienced any challenges as a result of the increased occupancy at Crowborough since the site first became occupied?
No, in terms of internally from the site, there was a little external attention, as we know. But other than that, no, it's been Crowborough really quite encouraging to see that getting that early engagement, getting the early communications with the residents going on to site and making sure that people are fully briefed, they know what's going to happen, how long they're going to be there, has really helped to kind of keep those incidents to an absolute minimum.
Okay, and it sounds as if you might be near at full capacity. I don't know on numbers yet, but yes. Are you prepared to be at that full capacity of 540?
Yes.
Yep. Okay, fine. And how does the number of staff compare on a ratio basis of number of staff to asylum seekers at Crowborough compared to previous hotel accommodation?
So it is different, and it's a different setup, a different requirement. There are more staff as a ratio currently at Crowborough and Wethersfield than there would have been in a similar sized hotel.
Okay, and who determines that ratio? Is it yourselves or the Home Office?
That's done during conversation as part of setting up the site, so that will be done jointly between ourselves and the Home Office in terms of agreeing what's required for the different staff groups, so catering, cleaning, security support. That will be done at the beginning of the setup.
Just to be clear, there's more staff per asylum seeker at Crowborough than what there would be in a typical hotel asylum.
It very much depends on the type, layout and style of the hotel. I'd need to go away and do some analysis in order to say that with absolute confidence, but my belief is that generally of a similar number of people being looked after, there would be slightly more staff.
Okay, and is that your understanding based on the increased level of ratio from previous experiences not working well and there needed to be more staff per asylum seeker? Or what?
It's really just a nature of the site and the way in which the people are managed. So no, I wouldn't say it was necessarily as a result of a significant change, but more as the nature of the site and the way it needs to be managed.
And what's the current maximum length of stay that an asylum seeker is likely to be based at Crowborough?
82 days.
82 days. And what's the length of the contract at Crowborough?
It's a 12-month. We're on the site for 12 months.
It's only 12 months.
Time.
Average length of stay 82 days, and maximum 82.
Yeah.
Is that built into the contract?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
So Joe White, yes.
Yeah. What is the ratio, and how does that compare with hotel use? But also, how does it differ from a hotel accommodation?
I guess responsibility in terms of the things that we were responsible for at Crowborough versus what we'd be responsible for in a hotel is slightly different. Because the hotel is owned by the landlord, for example, so there'd be repair and maintenance, facilities management functions. They're conducted by a Home Office contractor that isn't us, so a different responsibility there. In terms of the ratios, a lot of it will depend on the layout and the type of the site. So, for example, I can think of one hotel that we use that's got lots of floors. There would be a security guard on each one of those floors, for example. More floors would necessarily require more people. So that's what I mean in terms of it does depend on the layout of the site. The exact ratios, I'd have to go away and do the analysis and get you those figures. I don't have the ratio figures. And again, it will depend on the staff. So security, catering staff, cleaning staff, and then the various shift patterns. But we can provide that information.
Chris Murray.
Thank you. Thanks for coming in. Mr. Leakey, when you were here before, you told us that your company was able to extract higher profits from accommodating someone in a hotel than in dispersal accommodation. So I wonder, what is the cost per night per asylum seeker that you're currently charging the Home Office for this large site?
So it varies because the price is made up of a number of different elements, from a management fee to a nightly rate. Certainly we could provide that information in
If we
written
added it
form.
all together and divided it by 500, what would that number be?
I don't have that figure in front of me in that layout.
Which one?
But we could provide it in terms of what
I'm not following what's the unknown. I'm not following what's unknown.
the cost of the site is broken down into different elements. It isn't all per person per night as a rate. There's a management fee element, and there's an element for food. There's an element for security. So it doesn't break down as a straight divide by one by the other to give you a per person per night rate.
Okay.
It will also depend on the occupancy. So if it's fully occupied, then you'd be dividing that fixed number into a different number.
We know that the average for a hotel is £145 a night,
Yeah.
and we know that the average for Wethersfield, the other site that you run, is £132. So my question is, do you anticipate that this model of providing asylum accommodation will lead to any savings in cost for the taxpayer?
Probably not a question that I'd be able to answer accurately or in any detail, because I don't know the other side of the costings around the rent, the management of the site and those kind of things. All I can talk about really is the cost element for the part of the service that we provide. So if I compare the cost element for what we provide in a hotel versus the cost element for what we provide on the large site, and it's about half. It's about 50% of the cost.
You're charging the Home Office about half.
Give or take, yes. But
You see-
again, it's not an exact like for like, because there are slightly different elements covered in a hotel than there are on the large site.
And how much of your profits gone down by? Have they gone down by half as well?
So our profit is based on a percentage, and we have a fixed contractual percentage. That percentage hasn't changed, but obviously the cash figure will do, because it will be a percentage on a smaller turnover figure.
Okay. When you went to Wethersfield, it ended up costing an extra £150 million more than you'd told the Home Office at the beginning. How much do you anticipate this costing the Home Office more?
I don't. It's not a question for me, I'm afraid. All I can talk about is the price that we charge, what we charge the price for, and then it's for the Home Office to work the rest out.
Probably more.
So just going back to, you said, I'm still waiting just for a figure on what the occupancy is at the moment. But say
My
you,
apologies, it's 480, and we're increasing by 2 lots of 30 per week.
okay, so what I'm keen to understand is how many asylum seekers are you anticipating getting through Crowborough over the 12-month period that the contract's for? So the occupancy at total is 540. Okay, if you're mandated for 82 days, that's a turnover of four times, which would be a maximum of 2,160 asylum seekers over that period of time. But your occupancy rate isn't full yet, and it's been much lower previously. How far into the contract are we so far?
We are 4 months into the contract.
4 months into the contract. So, and we're still not at full occupancy. So from a taxpayer's point of view, how many asylum seekers are going to go through this system over the 12-month period, are you anticipating?
I don't know is the short answer to that, simply because the 82 days is a maximum, but it's not necessarily an average or a target. So somebody could go into Crowborough and realistically move within a week, or they might move within that 82 days. Now, that decision in terms of filling Crowborough and in terms of moving people off Crowborough to the next step in the asylum process is a Home Office process. We're not involved in that process in terms of, other than providing the information and the data for those decisions to be made by the Home Office.
Okay, and finally, just from me, just following on from the questions that Chris asked to do with total cost per individual, I know that you said that it's broken down differently,
Yeah.
but regardless of what the fixed cost would be associated with the whole site on how it's broken down, there will still be a maximum figure that can be divided
Yes.
per individual. Do you know what that is likely to be?
No.
And if not, are you not now, which is disappointing given this is one of the things that we're wanting to get into, are you able to write to the committee with that information?
So we're only privy to the financial information for the services that we deliver. So a classic example, in a hotel we'd be privy to the largest cost, which would be the rent, element. That would be probably by far the largest cost in a hotel. Because this isn't a site that we have a relationship with the landlord with, the Home Office have that relationship directly, MOD I assume, then that element of cost we're not aware of. So that element of cost would be in the calculation for a hotel, so I could tell you what that was. I don't know what the rent or the site costs would be for the Home Office. That's only a figure that the Home Officer would know. So the only element of that equation that I know is the service element that we provide, which would be more than half in a hotel. Less than half.
Can I just ask, after the 82 days, where do they go? Do you know?
Yes, so people will be moved into dispersed accommodation. So they'll move on to the next part of the... large site is initial accommodation, and then people would then move on to dispersed accommodation from there.
And have you had anyone who's only been in there a week?
I don't know, I'd have to check the figures. I hear it happens anecdotally, but I don't know if it's happened at Crowborough.
And you said it's a different type of site. What do you mean by that?
Just layout and style, really, and size. It's much smaller. It's more of a kind of a training camp feel. Just it's slightly on a slope, and it overlooks lots of open fields. So just kind of the look, the feel, and the layout of the site is slightly different.
We'll move on to some of the issues around the site and communication, security and safeguarding with Ben Maguire.
Thanks, Chair, and thanks for coming in today. So you're just going to change tack slightly and talk about your communications with the Home Office, and then if I may, I'm going to ask a few questions about safeguarding as well. The Deputy Leader of Wealdon District Council, Councillor James Partridge, who I understand is the local ward councillor for the area as well, described the Home Office as being secretive, evasive, and at crucial moments completely silent, and many people and stakeholders had completely lost confidence in them. I'd be quite interested to hear your experience of communicating with the Home Office, and in particular if it's affected your ability to run the site safely and effectively.
So I guess for us, because we've worked with the Home Office as a customer for such a long time, and through the COVID and small boats and that kind of intense period over the last couple of years, we have a very direct access, I guess, as their supplier. So we don't find it very difficult or challenging to kind of talk to the Home Office and get that access. We are a party to the conversations and the consultations with local authorities, but we don't play a leading role. We're just there in terms of partner with the Home Office to provide any technical detail that we can.
Okay, great. And there's obviously been regular protests against the site. Has that led to any operational challenges or safety risks for your staff or the residents there? Definitely,
and I think it's something we've experienced on most of the larger sites that we've opened over the years, and we've developed a series of protocols and practices that help us support the staff and deal with those situations as they arise. Close working relationships with the local authority and police are absolutely essential.
Great. And have you seen specific safeguarding issues at the site?
Less so at Crowborough. Again, I think it's predominantly because it's the fourth one now that we've mobilised, so there's a bit more of a formalised, or a lot more of a formalised process in terms of identifying where those challenges might occur and then putting the necessary control measures in place.
And you said less so at Crowborough, so what kind of incidents have you experienced there?
So at the moment they've been predominantly medical ones, looking at the analysis from incident reports, so there'll be where people require some form of medical assistance or support, and then we would take them off site for them to get that. But nothing specifically relating to the protests or the standing up of the site so far.
And have you had any issues with information that you've received from the Home Office on any specific safeguarding cases?
Not so far, not that I'm aware of, not's been reported.
Okay.
Can I just to clarify, so we're all absolutely clear on this. So unlike hotels, in this case, so with the hotels you would contract the whole hotel and the Home Office would have to pay you for the whole hotel whether it was full or not. In this case, you're only being paid for the asylum seekers that are being housed in Crowborough at any one time, or are you being paid a fixed amount?
So we're paid more of a fixed amount in terms of blocks of people, so that we can get the staff ready, we can get the food ordered in and get everything prepped. So we get paid I think it's per block of 200. Thank you. So yeah, for each block of 200 people, we would get that
amount.
Element.
So if there weren't 200 people, you'd still get paid for 200 people.
Depends where we are in that kind of the beginning. I guess if we were at 201, that could be true, but if we're at 199, then not so. So it's a scale.
Okay, but unlike the hotels, because you're not paying for the rent, it is much more about the provision of services.
Absolutely, yes.
Thank you. Chris Murray.
Thank you. Can I just pick up on this point about meeting your KPIs and the systems that you're putting in place to improve it? So we know that previously you reported to the Home Office no times that you'd broken your KPIs. But when the Home Office inspected your hotel accommodation, they found that 70% of the time they thought you had broken a KPI.
Yeah.
So that's right, yeah? How has that gone down since you've instituted these new systems?
So again, it's less about whether it's a KPI failure and more about whether it's service creditable. And I know it's...
I'm sure it is, actually. My question was, how many times do they think you've broken a KPI when they inspect you now?
That's probably a question for the Home Office rather than for us.
You're being held to account for the KPI, so it's a question for you.
And I
is it still
that.
70%?
No, but we don't believe it was 70% in the first place.
But my question isn't whether you believed it or not, or you think that was fair. My question, it was 70%. So my question is, when the Home Office inspects you now, having put in place all these new processes, what percentage of the time do they think